It's time to reset. Hi, I'm Elena of Financialdemics, and today we are going through what you need to do to financially reset for the new year. So normally I start with goals, but sometimes you may not have your goals set yet, or you have a lot of goals in mind, but you don't know exactly where to start. So at this very moment, we're gonna put your goals to the side and we're gonna come back to it after we go through our checklist. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to write down the balance in your checking accounts, and if you have more than one, then write them all down and total them up, and your savings accounts and total all of those up. Now, if you also have sinking funds, then make sure you include those sinking funds in your total for your savings accounts. This is also a great time that if you have some sinking funds and you realize that some of the sinking funds that you are saving for, like you're going to have to act on this year, it's a good time to evaluate how much you need to have in there to actually achieve your goal. Once you total those up, next we're going to move on to your investment accounts. So start with your retirement plans. If you have a retirement plan through your job, or if you have any IRAs, put the type of account, how much is the balance as of today. If you have any non-retirement investing accounts, these are accounts that you have set up yourself that you invest in. I want you to write down what the balance are in those accounts also. And don't forget, if you're using any type of investing apps, I've noticed that sometimes people don't include investing apps, but you're still investing. So if you have any investing apps and you are putting money into those accounts, make sure you include those also. All right, next we're gonna go to your debt. So with your debt, I want you to write down each debt that you have, the balance of that debt, the minimum payment on that debt, the interest rate, but then also I want you to write down the amount of interest you were charged within the last month, especially if you're carrying over a balance monthly. And the reason for that is sometimes you see the interest rate and you may see like that card may have an interest of 29.99%, and that means nothing to you. But it may mean something different if you see that on your balance that you carried over, they charge you $80, they charge you $160, they charge you $200 for the month. That is going to change your mindset because you're actually putting that exact dollar amount to the amount of interest that you're charged monthly. So once you've done that, I want you to total up the balances that you have on all that debt. I want you to total up all the minimum payments because that's the amount you're supposed to be paying per month. And then I want you to total up the amount of interest that you were charging the last month on all of those debts. Now, if you are a person who are not currently paying on all of your debts, or you're not exactly sure what you currently owe, I want you to either go to annualcreditreport.com. They typically give out a free credit report every year. If not there, then you can also check Credit Karma. They typically show all your debts on Credit Karma if you sign up for their services. So, and that's typically also free. So check there also to see what debts that you actually owe. And since we're at debt, let's go ahead and pull our good old credit score. Annualcreditreport.com will give you a chance to pull your credit score, but you will have to pay for it. It's not a free score. If you can't get your score from there, then look at, if you have a credit card, most credit card companies actually show you your FICO score. So look at your FICO score from the credit card companies. If you can't afford to pay for your score, you can also, Credit Karma has a Vantage score. It is not the same as FICO, but it gives you, it's not the same, but it gives you an idea. Typically, I noticed that the Vantage score is lower than the FICO score. So if you could try to get your FICO score, that is your best bet. If I find a link for you to get a FICO score for a little bit cheaper, I will link it down below. Okay, the next thing I want you to do is go through your expenses for the last 3 months. The reason why we're doing this, and I want you to go through your bank account expenses and your credit cards, because you're spending somewhere, right? You're spending money somewhere, and you want to get an idea of what you are spending your money on. So I want you to write out your expenses categorize them by what type of expenses they are. So some may just be kind of like your fixed bills. Some may be like variable expenses, but there's stuff that you do. Like if you like, your beauty routine, things like that. Some items may be debt. Some of it may be like shopping just randomly, right? Some of it could be clothes shopping, but was it clothes shopping for necessities, or was it clothes shopping for just because I wanted something new? Was it something you actually needed because maybe a special occasion or something like that coming up? Those are things to distinguish, because sometimes, right, whatever is going on in our life, we may buy something that we normally would not buy, but we needed it for a certain situation. And then there's a difference when you're just shopping just to shop. The reason why we're going to categorize these expenses, because you want to be able to determine where you are overspending, or if you haven't been really paying attention to some of the things you're being billed for. Like maybe there's expenses you have that you just been paying for subscriptions and you don't realize that you have been paying for them. This is giving you an opportunity to really see what is going on in your accounts. And here are the categories that I want you to use for these expenses. I want you to have your fixed bills, right? Your fixed expenses. So expenses that are the same every month, and you have to pay for them every month. You should have something for debt. If you're saving, there should be a savings line. If you have something for like variable, kind of like, let's say like your personal money, there should be a personal money line. And that should be it. I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible, because typically I would have lots of categories, but just kind of group them in those expenses and see how does that compare each month to the income that you actually brought in for the month. Are you spending more than you should, or are you still spending less than you bring in? Okay, so now that you have all these details, right? You know how much is in your checking account, you know how much is in your savings, you know where your investments are, you know how you've spent your money over the last 3 months. Another thing you want to make sure that you have, like you understand, is all your different insurances that you're paying for. What do you have? What do your coverages look like? Include like your medical, your dental, if you have vision, if you have a health savings account or a flexible spending account, what is in that account right now. For the flexible spending accounts, if you have a balance left, you only have a certain amount of time that you can use it before that amount goes away. So how much time do you have so you can take advantage of that? And then also, if you have any life insurance, any term life, like where you at? Is everybody properly covered? Or maybe that's something you want to put in your goals to make sure that everybody in your family is properly covered. Okay, so now you have everything to kind of have an idea of where you stand financially, right? You know how much is in your checking accounts. You know how much is in your savings, how much are in your investment accounts. You know how much you owe in debt, how much you're paying monthly, or you should be paying monthly, how much interest you're being charged monthly, and then how you're spending the money that is coming in. So now it's time to look at those numbers and determine what goals you want to set for yourself financially to get yourself where you actually want to be, right? And understand, when you're setting your goal, we're just setting a goal for this year. So you may have a larger goal, but just know your goal may last a little longer than 12 months, but you're setting your goal to say, okay, this is what I'm going to focus on. So let's say if you decide I'm going to focus on paying off my debt, then okay, I realize it's going to take longer than a year. And if you're not sure how long it's going to take to pay off your debt, I'm going to drop a calculator below that you can use to give you an idea how long it would take to pay off your debt with how much you are paying towards debt every month. But okay, so in the first year, I want to pay, let's just say maybe you have $30,000 in debt. And maybe you can't see that you'll be able to pay off the whole $30,000 this year, but maybe you could pay off half. Okay, I want to set that goal to pay off half of my debt, so $15,000 of debt for this year. So now that you know where you stand in those different categories, now you can determine what goals you actually want to focus on first. So you can have all of the goals, right? You can say, I want to pay off debt, I want to build my savings, I want to invest. So because personal finance is personal, maybe you have a percentage of your money go to each of those goals. Or you can decide, I just want to focus on paying off this debt first, and I'll just have a beginner emergency fund. And then once I pay off this debt, I will build up my emergency fund, and then I will start investing. So you can set up your goals how it works for you, but now you know what goals you should focus on. Now that you've figured out those goals that you want to focus on, now we're going to create a budget that focuses on your goals for the new year. Because the thing about it is, if the budget is going to be the plan and you're going to execute the plan. So what the budget is an estimate of what you're going to spend. We're going to do a zero-based budget. So that means that all of the dollars that you have in your budget as far as income, every dollar has a job to do. And if there's not enough dollars to help you achieve your goal, then either you're going to need to find areas where you're going to cut, but you'll also need to find where you can bring in more income to help you get to your goal quicker. If you're not sure how to set up a budget or where to start, then check out this video here where I talk about setting up a zero-based budget. Now, one thing I will mention about your budget is you are going to adjust your budget accordingly. So the budget is not always going to be exactly the same month to month. You may have the template of where you want the budget to be, but make sure that you include things that are coming up, like either travel or birthdays, any holidays that are coming up, anything where you know that, okay, I may be spending extra money this month due to this family event or anything that's going on during the month. Or even if you just know, like, okay, my vehicle needs this particular maintenance done, make sure you include that in your budget, because that will help you decrease some of the frustration that you already have. I will also say about the budget, please make sure you have personal money for yourself that you could spend on anything else. I'm making sure to put that in this video because I have known people to set up budgets and their budget is so strict, there's just no way you're going to be able to live up to that budget. And then you hate budgeting when it's really an estimate of what's going to happen, and then you make adjustments as the month goes along. So this is your financial reset. If you would like a more detailed financial reset, then definitely check out this video that I have right here where I go more in depth into like the full financial reset process. I'll also include the link to my financial checkup checklist below. I use that checklist every single month to review my finances and make sure that I'm staying on track, because it's one thing to have the plan, which is the budget. It's another thing to actually analyze it at the end of the month and to make sure that you are really making progress to the goals that you have for yourself. In the comments below, let me know what is one of your focuses for the new year. And if one of your goals is to start investing, then check out this video right here.